Okay, I believe we are recording now. Yep. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to live live app review. Oh, I don't have my video on. People need to see a face, don't they? There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to live app review. My name is Matt Locke here with Near Protocol, and today I have some guests with me, and they are going to give me feedback on what I call the Near Boilerplate. So this is a repository that I have been using for some of my live app review videos without guests. And basically, in this repo, we have a Rust smart contract under contracts. That README is pretty old. We have a Node.js server. So in case the example that I want to do leads to having a some sort of a server side API. So this could, for example, be adding an access key for a guest user or a user who does not have a Near wallet yet. You would want to use a Node.js server. So that's part of the example here. We have the front end application. So that this is basically a very stripped down basic React app. We have front end tests. So we have a test folder with a bunch of test utilities. And we have a utils folder. Don't worry about that. I'll walk through the configurations and stuff later. And then we just have our package.json with a whole host of scripts. So I'm going to get this into my actual environment, which is going to be VS Code. So I'm going to copy that. And then I'm going to actually just close everything, keep it clean. I'm going to get out of the project that I was working on before. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to clone
We're
into
still
this.
seeing the browser.
Oh, you are still seeing the browser? I
Yeah.
think I shared the wrong screen. So hang tight. Okay, coming back. Share desktop one. Got it. Okay, I just selected the wrong screen before. Excuse me. So what we're going to do is we're going to clone the repo. And then we're going to name it something. So we're already in the near-apps repo. I don't know if I have something called near BP here. Okay, so I won't name it anything. I'm just going to call it near BP. So hopefully today we're going to get some feedback and we're going to make some changes and edits, and then we're going to push them up and just keep the whole ball rolling with this boilerplate. So I explained before, we have contracts, we have a server, we have a front end, we have tests, and I'll walk through. I guess I'll walk through some of the scripts here, just so that we're sort of all acquainted with the scripts. So I'm going to actually start by kind of focusing on the tests first. So if we focus on the tests and we call test unit first, so we're going to go from the contract through just front end tests that actually test against testnet, and I'll explain how that works in a second. And then we're going to go to the front end. So we're going to kind of start at the back end and go to the front end. So let's run unit tests. So these are basically Rust unit tests, and we can take a look at what those look like in the Rust contract. The basic contract, just so you can kind of, it's not going to be a review of this contract, and this contract's like not that good anyway. But the basic idea of the contract is that you're selling like an NFT that is just a string. So it's just like a message. So I could create, hello world, and I could sell it for 5 near. But that's not the important part. So the important part is kind of like the structure of this whole boilerplate. So I do have unit tests in here. So after this is sort of done compiling, it's the first time compile because it was just cloned. I have some unit tests here. So I test, create the NFT, purchase the NFT, panic, like it should panic if the message already exists. This is also, it's going to be a little a little extra to explain, but basically there's a whole nother kind of side to this boilerplate, in that I allow, and this contract itself is, I allow users to create NFTs from a public key kind of guest account, so they can create like a message if they're just a public key, and also from like a signed in full-fledged full named Near account. We can get into the logistics of that, like time permitting, but basically the first thing I would do if I was cloning this repo is, and I was curious as a developer, is I would just kind of poke around the contract and I would run those unit tests. So you can just run everything from the root. So those are the unit tests. The next tests that I want to show off are what I call the app tests. So that is that is where we're going to deploy the contract, and we're going to actually run live tests against testnet, and it's all happening through this folder here. So I'm going to do one other thing though, is I'm going to start the server, and there is a server under this server directory, because I know the app tests need the server to be able to run, because they use the server to basically do some key adding. So I'm going to set that server up. So it's like the most basic Node.js server you've ever seen. I'm not gonna go into the code or anything, but it just trust me, it works. And when you call the endpoint, /add key, it adds a key to the current developer contract. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to call test deploy. And test deploy is different from test. So test deploy is actually going to create a brand new Near dev account, and it does this every single time you call test deploy. So if you've ever done a dev deploy on Near, it creates credentials, like temporary sort of dev account credentials in your root. When you run test deploy, it will actually create a brand new dev account, and it will also deploy the contract, and then it will run the app tests. If you just call test, it will only run the app tests. So it will only run just against the currently deployed contract. So you have two kind of options here. You can always deploy. Oh, I have to install. I haven't even hit Yarn yet. So basically you have two choices. You can run yarn test, and that will test against the currently deployed dev account and contract. So that would be like this dev account that's here. But you're going to see in a moment when I run dev deploy, you're going to see this Near dev folder, and this dev account will actually completely disappear, and it'll be replaced by another one. So you see it's deleted now, and there's a new dev account. And the reason I do that is because when you go back and change your contract, you may affect like the contract state. And so just to keep your sanity, you probably want a new account, and then to deploy your contract over a new account. So that just deployed a new dev account and a new contract, and ran these jest tests here in app.test.jest or JS. So these are the tests that we just ran. So again, it's sort of like this NFT example. And I mentioned before, you can create this message NFT, and you can also create it with no Near. So you can add an access key, and also you can get, I can go into these sort of details later, but you can get like an account that is based on the access key as the signer, and you can also create an NFT, and then you can purchase the NFT and credit Bob, the person who did not have near previous, with the funds. So that's the basic idea, and those tests pass. And the last thing that this boilerplate offers, so you can also run, as I mentioned, after the contract is deployed, you can run yarn test. So you can just say, go ahead and test it. And that will test it without changing this near dev account. So your dev account would be the same. And it's just going to run the front end tests. And when it runs the front end test, though, in both instances, test deploy and test, it's running them against testnet. So this is actually going out to like, the real testnet. So if you had any trouble with your contract or your transactions and you were curious, you could go, hit the Explorer here and see that this stuff just happened.
Question for you on that, actually.
Yes.
Are you going to have a permanently deployed version of that contract in some namespace so that even if you just ran this with like near dev deploy, it could potentially deploy a new one, or you could run it against a permanently deployed version so that they don't have to do any sort of deployments. They can just run this.
That is a great question. So they wouldn't have to run any deployments. Is there a reason why you wouldn't want to deploy like kind of your own contract, or why you would want to, I guess, like live in the sort of the general namespace?
Yeah, I guess the main reason there is you could have like preloaded data sets. So if you
Right.
just hit like yarn install or whatever, and then hit yarn dev or something, the UI would load up with pre-defined data or whatever. And then from there, you're going to do like dev deploy and stuff.
I'm just writing the note here. Yeah. That's a good question, Trevor. I guess like, shared data set, more, I guess, more testability,
Yeah.
more, better starting point. Yeah, it makes sense. I'm actually kind of interested in that. So maybe a separate, can I not spell separate? I always forget. No, it's definitely that.
It's an A. You had it right.
Thanks, Molly. Molly, our content writer, editor. So separate, maybe a separate script entirely. That makes sense for shared namespace. I like that. Okay, that's a good idea. Let's just wrap up really quick, and then we can just open it up for a whole bunch of questions. So yarn start is finally the last thing that we would run. Now, it's important to note, by the way, my server is probably still on the old dev account. So when I booted up the server, I made sure that I print out the dev account here, and I'm probably on a different one. Yeah, they're not the same. So I have to reboot my server. I'm not too thrilled about that. Oops, I'm gonna leave that open. I'm not too thrilled about that, and I don't know if there's anything I can do about that. Like maybe server should include warning if you're not loaded. If config loaded is not current dev account. Maybe there's something I can do, Trevor, like with a Node.js server, where I can keep pinging the near dev folder, and I can like crash and restart You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I have a kind of a longer suggestion on that actually.
Okay, well, let's do it after I show the app.
Yep.
I don't know if the server is like the hugest sort of aspect of this, but definitely, I mean, any sort of any app worth building, especially when you're helping the user with onboarding, is probably going to have to run a server. So that's why I kind of designed it this way. So boy, does this app look like a real mess. it's a it's a real stinky pile. Sorry, everyone. Um, so I'm going to sign out of everything, and this is what it should look like if you have nothing in your local storage. The reason it looked like such crap is because I had a bunch of accounts and I was signed in with local storage. But the point is here, you should be able to sign in with either the Near wallet, or you should be able to just quote unquote get a new account. And get a new account should obviously um, be a protected sort of process. And what I mean by that is that if you are an app and you are giving somebody a temporary account, like to access your smart contract, you're sponsoring their gas fees, and you're probably going to sponsor some stuff that they create. So you are going to need to like figure that out on your own. So this boilerplate does not solve some of these problems. And I mean, I'm relatively upfront about that because I have comments around the endpoints and stuff that need to be protected. But let's do the wallet flow. So let's just sign in with the testnet wallet. The reason I have so much warnings here is because I'm on Brave and it blocks all of our analytics. So the team can't see me. Okay, so I'm signed in with a wallet account, and for whatever reason, I cannot create anything. Okay, I think I have a bit of a bug here because I thought that I should be able to mint something. Maybe it's the example's like actually really old, and I don't actually allow the wallet to do any minting. Oh yeah. Okay, so the wallet is only able to like purchase these messages. So let me show you the flow with the guest account. Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, I'm forgetting. I'm thinking of my East Denver example, which was much more kind of full blown version of this. And I should probably bring in some of those kind of principles and design into this example. So so here's what we have. There's nothing else, you know, below this. What we have is we have a guest account. So there's some seed phrase with some implicit account ID. There is an app key, what I call an app key, that is added to the app's smart contract. So, I mean, if you're really sort of nerdy and you really want to check it out, you can just do this. So, how many keys are on the app contract account? Well, there's this key, the full access key, and then there's this access key, and that's the 4K OTG. So that's that. And now if I want to get a new app key, I will get another access key. So this is the NUK one. So you can see that there's now two access keys. So basically all this is doing is that there is some implicit account, some account that was just created with a seed phrase that has no near tokens in it. We're going to create a message on the contract using this this key as an access key, and we're going to credit this implicit account ID, which means that when I eventually when I sign in with this seed phrase to the wallet, even on testnet, because all of this is running on testnet, I will have near already. So I will already have near tokens. So let's go through that flow. So the seller account ID is this implicit account ID. I'm going to use the app key to create the message. So that's the key that I showed you was added to the dev account, or what I call, like, I typically just call it the app account. So it's added to the app account. So my message is going to be, well, Trevor's been pretty vocal, so I'll say, hello, Trevor. And I'm going to sell the message for 5 near. And that's my awesome loading screen. It says working on it. So my loader is not that great. Excuse me. So now what I'm going to do is the message was created with this app key. This is the message. Hello, Trevor. The amount is 5 near. I'm going to buy the message from this wallet account that's signed in. So now you just kind of have to suspend your disbelief and say, and imagine that you are another user and you're signing in as your wallet, and you can't see all of this stuff, or sorry, you can't see all of this. All you see is you see like a little NFT, and it's hello, Trevor, and it costs 5 near. So now imagine you're buying that message. So the thing that would actually identify which message you're buying is the app key that was used to create the message. So think about these app keys that I've been giving to these users for free are kind of like single one-time minting an NFT keys. So we're going to buy the message that is associated with this app key. So we're going to buy it. And it says purchase message, hello, Trevor, for 5 near. Okay. So go ahead and do it. We're going to get redirected to the wallet. So it says from this account, we're going to transfer 5 near. So I'm going to say, okay, sounds good. I really want, maybe it's Trevor that minted it. I want Trevor to take my money. So you see my balance went down. Now what's really interesting is you can take this seed phrase and you can go to testnet wallet, and you can say you want to add account, seed phrase, paste it in, and it will actually find an account, and the account already has funds in it. So received 5 from who? Well, it's from the dev account, right? So basically the point of the example is to show all of the different combinations of sort of like near sort of accounts, keys, seed phrases, and put them all together. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. I mean, I barely remembered how this example worked. So,
So
I'm
Matt,
hoping we can improve it.
yeah, one thing, would it be possible to add a little bit more messaging in this UI, just to say like, step 1, here's what you're doing. Step 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I think while I was making this, it was I was in a mad dash to to put it together. So what should we do, Trevor? How do you want to approach this?
Yeah, just like that, just like 1 dot, here's what you're doing.
Sure.
And it might be helpful to have like a p tag that explains why. Like, why is it useful?
Okay. So set up a guest account. So let's go back to the beginning. Actually, this is a good chance to just. By the way, when I trash everything, like I love testing in this world, or sort of having this world that you can just absolutely trash everything, and then just, one click bring it back. If you couldn't tell from my yarn dev deploy how it just deletes your dev account, doesn't do anything with the fonts, just says bye bye, and then it just makes a whole new one. I like this sort of freshness of just rebooting. So if we add these instructions, which by the way, this is a great idea. So set up a guest account, and you will also receive an access key that is added to the What do you call, Trevor? I'm just kind of asking for opinions on what to call this. What do you call the account that you deploy contracts to?
Oh, contract account maybe.
Okay,
That's what I call it too. So
cool. I'll put that in quotes. Sort of an open call for definitions. Okay, so one, guest account. So this is everything up to this implicit account. And then I'm going to continue the trend and we're going to go down to wallet here. And we're going to say, this is actually step 3. So sign in with near wallet, right? And we're just going to say, sign in with a wallet that already has near tokens, and you will be presented above with an option to purchase the message created by the guest account. Does that sound about right?
Sounds great.
Now, what we need to do though is, because you can't actually do anything until there, like with your wallet, there's no point in signing in until you have a guest account, and we don't want to distract people with like a 1 and a 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this until you actually have a guest account. So that guest account is actually stored in local storage. So I call it local keys. And again, like, feel free to nitpick and shout out if you think local keys is is a shitty name. Please. So if there are local keys, and sort of like, I mean, I'm probably gonna have to check if they're defined or not or something. I'm just gonna tuck in all of this stuff into there. So I'm not gonna show the wallet if there is no guest account. So it just disappeared there, the component. So that's step 1. So by the way, any comment, local keys, shitty name? I don't know.
Seems fine.
It's
works
like,
for me.
yeah, it's like your local, it's your local keychain. That's how I think of it. I think of it like, oh, there's this local keys object. It has everything I need to know about the
I mean,
local keys.
Other thing I can think is like local key pair, but
There's 2 key pairs though. That's the problem.
there you go.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's the seed phrase and implicit account, and then there's multiple app keys. So the reason why I did that was I just wanted to show, like, the trouble is, like, if your guest account is also your app key, then typically that key is like highly visible to the application itself. So I'm trying to assure people that there's sort of like, some app key that can specify that the beneficiary of the app key's actions should be a completely other account. So for example, like, somebody could bring let's create the new account, because then you'll see what I'm talking about. Somebody can bring these 2 components from an outside wallet, like a trust wallet, and they can be given an app key. So I'm just trying to separate the concerns, or just make it
Totally.
make it make it understandable for people. So
I think it's actually, like, just to clear up some confusion, if you're coming from Web 2 world, this is something we would call like a JSON web token, or something like that, where it's not something that needs to exist long term. You can kill it at any time, but it is just sort of a permission of access to your wallet.
Good point. Actually, let's put in some of that verbiage here. So under implicit account, let's get down here. Let's make this a proper heading, and we'll just say 2, 1 guest accounts. So 2, which isn't really like the second step though. So how about I'll just put your guest account, or I'll just put, yeah. your local guest account, and then I'm going to put some, I want to put in that sort of that concept there, Trevor. So the seed phrase and associated implicit account ID are so do not, I'll just say, have to be revealed to the application. This is similar to a JWT, the where only the implicit account ID may need to be known by the app. I'll just say it's the seed phrase is presented only for convenience. So it's just because like I wanted to copy paste and log into the account later, right?
Nice.
So
Yeah.
does this kind of read with what your suggestion was about the JWT token?
Yeah, it's a lot better. Which actually brings up, like, it'd be rad at some point maybe to have a extension of the boilerplate where you can sign in with a Ledger or Trezor or what, you know, other hardware wallet stuff.
So cool. Yeah, that'd be so awesome. I'm gonna have to jump through the rest of the examples, but I like your example of explaining the steps here. So actually step 2 is to sell a message. So let's just do an explainer here really quick. So let's just explain what is an app key. So let's just say, I'll put current app key. Okay. So current app key, and then what is an app key? Just get rid of that. Oh boy. I'll put another p tag up here, and then we'll say an app key has been added to the app's contract account. This will allow you to mint a message and set a price without having near tokens. Okay, that's it. So that explains like this step. Maybe I'll make that like a sub. I'll make these like smaller headings actually. This is really helpful though, Trevor. Aaron, thanks for kind of taking the time. I know it's probably like painful to watch me type like after you make a suggestion. But okay, so you get a new app key, you can remove your account. So that's all fine and good. And now that brings us to contract. So the contract component should have the message for sale part. So sell a message. Yeah. So this is when you're creating. So this is a step 2 part. Okay. So step 2, sell a message. So let's do an explainer here. So is this okay, Trevor? Like this is what you suggested. I'm still going with the suggestion of like write out the steps, right? But if you want steps in a different area, let me know. If you have
this is great.
Using your implicit account ID plus app key, and I'll just write this is a different key pair just as a hint. I don't know about all the capitalizations and everything. I don't know. I write in variable names apparently. So using your implicit account ID plus app key, which is a different key pair, create a message. I'll just put string with a price a price in near tokens to be sold. That should be enough. I mean, don't want to be too verbose. I think maybe should I just kill these because they don't do anything. They're just visually there. They're up here too. They're the
I
same.
think it's, oh, if they're the same, yeah, kill them. It's always nice to have more context though, in case there's any question. Maybe just
Okay,
comment them
okay.
out and then people can see like, okay, I can turn this on if I want.
That's a cool idea. Yeah. I just think it's like it's already like pretty like it's getting pretty wordy, you know?
Cool.
Maybe I'll put some style on it too, like after this call, where I'll just sort of block out the headings a little bit so that you're like, okay, you know, like maybe some light green banner across the whole page for this heading is like a step, you know, and maybe these are like subheadings in yellow or something.
Yeah, maybe use like frame sets and you know, hex codes.
Yeah, I like that. So sell a message. Sell a message. So that's going to explain. And so you pretty much should know what to do here. Like you sell your message. So once you've done that, you're kind of like done step 2. I'll make sure that that is a little bit more verbose as well. You're kind of like done step 2 and step 2 goes away. What should we do when there's no message for sale anymore? Or sorry, when you can't sell a message, like should I, because it's sort of like step 2B, right? Should I just write like 2B?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'll just say message is posted for sale. And I think I'm going to get rid of the app key here because it is the exact same app key as up here. So I'm going to once again, I'll just comment it. So, okay. So then that will look like you're coming through. Oh, that needs to be a different heading type too. So this is like when you did 2, you've already jumped to 2B, and then you're going to hit 3. So then the next step is to sign in and buy the message, right? So I just have to. I have a lot of testnet accounts.
Wait, so maybe I'm a little confused. Oh, wow.
Why did it go to full access? That was super weird. Sorry. Whoa, I'm having a lot of trouble here. What's going on? Whoa. Sorry. Yeah. Let's go back and let's do your question first.
So what's up with the sign in with near wallet being the last? So you've created your local keys and you're already able to buy or sell a message. How is that possible without signing in? Or are you kind of like scheduling a transaction as the last step?
Yeah, good point. So let's look at the dev account on Explorer. Actually, maybe I should like link out to this because I have the dev account in the actual app state. So I should link out to this and be like, check the dev account, right? But what's actually happened here is that there was an access key that was added that is related to the local key in local storage. So the user was basically just given an access key. And actually, I didn't go over that.
With an allowance or something, I'm guessing? Okay.
And so I wrote here, get new access key. I wrote warning, no restriction on this endpoint. So what it does is it actually, I don't reveal the credentials for the actual contract account or the app, that is handled by this Node.js server. So the Node.js server basically has an add key endpoint, and I'm like, these are my warnings. Like, there's no restriction on this. So if I were to release this on mainnet into a contract account with like 100 near, somebody could just blast it with add key methods and just add a bunch of access keys with an allowance of 1 near and just go to town, right, on my contract. But this is just so you know that this is actually happening behind the scenes every time you say get new app key. So this message that is posted for sale is related to this app key. So if you want to actually post another message, by the way, we're going to totally lose this message. So this message will just disappear forever. We're going to get a new app key. And then because there is no, I don't know why that didn't update automatically, but because there's no message associated with this app key, it's going to, oh yeah. So
maybe you can add a little bit more to the current app key description there that just says like you're granting an allowance of X so that this can happen.
Let's do that. Let's add another paragraph. No, hold on. Oh no, I wrote that here. So an app key is added to the app's contract account. This will allow I'll talk about users, a user to mint a message and set a price without having near tokens. I'll put it in the part about the server though. This,
Maybe just like C server code for implementation.
Yeah, this calls an endpoint on the server, C, slash server. Okay, so something like that should explain it. And then get new access key, maybe I should, or get new app key, maybe I should explain that or each, I should have written that the other way around. Okay, so it's like a little bit more explanatory, right?
Just what Trevor had mentioned about the allowance. Maybe if you put an app key with allowance has been added to the app's contract account.
Would you put that up here, Aaron?
Yeah, right under the H3, the current app key, just say an app key with allowance.
Okay, that doesn't even need a comma. Okay, thanks, Aaron. That's awesome. Okay, it's a little bit better, right? And then when you click this get new app key, I want to make sure that the contract part actually refreshes. So I think all I have to do actually is I have to just actually force the loading thing to start. So just one sec. Sorry, this will only take a sec, but it'll fix the sort of the UX of the whole thing.
You need to put you're working on it in a marquee tag.
What's a marquee tag?
Oh, you have not lived yet, Matt.
I have not lived. What is a marquee tag? I'm total newbie to that.
So marquee is the traditional like HTML for it's almost like a ticker tape.
I feel really old knowing that, but
so basically,
are you talking about one of those things that would go by and like animate or something?
Yeah.
Oh, Trevor, come on, man. We're taking back to the 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, maybe. Okay, so anyway, I just uploaded that, or sorry, I just updated. So now if you had a message for sale, and then you hit get new app key, I think I'm going to put a warning next to that, just like the other one, and say this will, you will lose the current message for sale. Because that will help kind of explain that. So I'll just say warning. I'll just say removes current message for sale if there is one. Oh, there's already brackets there. If there is one. Okay, that should be fine. So if there is a message for sale, then you get a new app key, you're just going to lose it. So again, we're not trying to make like the perfect app. We're just trying to explain it all. So this has been super helpful, everybody. Thanks for your feedback. So now sell a message. So now we're going to actually sell a message. And then Trevor, to clear up, to get back to your original question, why is sign in with wallet last? So I wanted users to be able to have this app key thing if they wanted it. So if you don't want to actually use the boilerplate with this, guest account flow or sponsor the user with an app key, you can just come in to this boilerplate, and I've done it now in 2 examples, and you can just delete this and delete this, and basically and obviously delete the passing of that, because there is no more local keys anymore, and you will never see the quote unquote the keys component, and you'll never have to deal with the sort of the React, the general React state of this local keys object. You'll just never see it. So basically it's for traditional got mainnet's been out since October, and I'm talking about traditional near apps. But for traditional sort of sign in with your wallet near applications, it's like you just get rid of that keys component and any reference to like local keys in app.js, and you're done. It's like it just works. So it's actually pretty sort of like malleable, as an example. I'm not sure if it's overkill as a boilerplate though, and if there should be like another boilerplate that's like boilerplate with guest login. I don't know.
Actually, no, it makes more sense to have like more of a kitchen sink approach. So I like that. One of the things I've been thinking about for these, like more the view one that I was doing, is trying to follow the trend that I don't know if you remember the MVC trend, where everyone was building their frameworks for JavaScript with MVC. So there was the standard to do MVC, where it was like implemented in Angular, React, Knockout, Backbone. Like everybody had their implementation. I wonder if we should do that for Near, and just be like, here's the app, and here's all the different flavors, but really it's just showing off the same set of functionality.
I love it. I think that would be really, really cool example. That would be like a cool standard to get to, In fact, I mean, we could, to be honest, I mean, we might be able to just rip off to do MVC and just basically add in some sort of a crypto feature, or like a crypto.
Oh yeah, you own a task.
Exactly. You own a task. And then if someone else says that you've completed it, so that's like buying the message that's for sale. If somebody else says that you've completed your task, and your task had a bounty of like, 1 near token, then they have to transfer you 1 near token to say that you've done it. So yeah, we do something like that. It would be really,
Sounds
really
good.
cool. Yeah, that would be super fun to hack on. Aaron, what do you think? You going to do it for us?
No, not at the moment anyway.
just bugging, man.
Yeah.
I just like to have fun.
I do think it's a really good idea though. Like it gives more people more options to start things out. So yeah.
Cool. So now I'm gonna do, Trevor, just to finish up, because I will have to go at 12 my time. I think you're the same time zone. Aaron isn't.
Yep.
So this is 3B. So unfortunately you jump up to 3B because all of the contract stuff is in this one component that is in the middle of the page. So all the contract stuff is here, but I don't think it's too much of a leap to just jump up here. I could use like fragments and like toss shit around like all over the place, but I didn't want to make this about, you know, I didn't want to make it about learning Rust. I didn't want to make it about learning React. I wanted to make this about the stuff you can do with Near in like a kitchen sink example and kind of focus on that part. And especially something people struggle with, which is like, so there's accounts, named accounts, implicit accounts, seed phrases, access keys, all of this stuff, right? But yeah, in buy a message, what would you say here? So you do have to have an input with the current sort of message.
Yeah, how can
key.
you find that? I think that's kind of the critical thing. You showed near CLI. There's also, you know, just look up an account on testnet and then post that in your near CLI and you can get that stuff. But it might not be inherently known how you can get that value.
How you can get this value, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
I think you took it out before, but on 2B there, where it basically has the message for sale, maybe, you know, just in brackets or a comment next to it saying this message is at this address and that is what you're actually buying, kind of thing.
Right. Okay, I like that. Yeah, because the app key is like the key lookup in the you know, I might just call it key here. And then just say buy a message and then put a parallel sort of, you know, like key there. I don't think this is perfect, by the way. Like, I mean, I'm just kind of trying to riff with it. But we are kind of running out of time, but this has been super, super helpful. So I'll put in a little message here. That's all I kind of wanted to show everybody. Obviously, with all of these steps, I think probably a higher level version of this in the README would also help. Would you say that that's a fair assumption? Like,
Yeah, it sounds great. Like, here's the steps you're going to do.
and then I'm just going to put for myself, okay. Any other kind of like high level questions, comments, just about it in general?
I got one about the dev deploy piece there. And I know it's the same in the create near app, the whole idea of creating the dev account, deploying the contract to it and whatnot, and then just kind of recycling, adding more every time you change things up. I'm just curious why you go that route, vice, you know, having deploying to a contract account that you know of, and then if you need to change the state, just deleting that, recreating the same one, and deploying to that. Like, is there no concern that we're creating all these different accounts and adding a whole bunch of contracts onto the chain? But maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know. But it's always been a question that I wasn't too sure about. So.
Okay. No, really good.
Maybe I can answer real quick.
Sure.
The dev account deploy actually creates a new local dev account, but it doesn't do that every time you do deploy. So it's more of like here's a fast onboarding so you can deploy with a one-time account, and it'll deploy to that account maybe like 10 or 15 times. Maybe you come back a week later, it'll actually create a new dev account, but the one that you did previously sticks around. It's just kind of there for a fast bootstrap. And the whole point of these dev accounts is so that you can iterate really quickly. And then once you're ready to like really, maybe you deploy something to a public domain, then that's when you would do a known account name. So it would be something like, maybe this is just like message.testnet or something. So message.testnet would be in your deployed configuration to that domain name.
Yeah, I understand all of that as well, but I do sort of share Aaron's philosophy of like, why not just pick a consistent dev name. So for example, the way it works now, Aaron, is that these dev accounts keep popping up with it used to be 500 near, I think now it's like 200 near or something on testnet. So they keep popping up and they're full of near, and that's really useful. But to your
I can tell
point,
you why, actually. Like, I don't want to accidentally deploy over something on like a known account if I'm just kind of iterating in my design.
sure, okay.
Yeah, that for me, like I've accidentally done that several times and be like, well, that broke all the tests.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, great. Thanks for jumping in and answering, Trevor. That's what I guess this is all about. So really cool. Thanks everybody for joining me. Just so you know, we'll hang on for just 1 minute, but I am going to stop the recording now. So thanks everybody, on the interwebs, or I can't even get back to the Zoom controls. I really don't know how to use this thing. Oh, there we go. Thanks everybody for joining us. This has been live app review, actually live app review with guests, episode 11, no, 10, I think 10. And thank you to my guests. So we'll stop the recording now.